What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. I hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. So let's talk about y'all boy Jason Whitlock. So Jason Whitlock starts to talk about Ryan Clark because he hates Ryan Clark with the passion, and Ryan Clark can't stand him either. It's mutual disgust for each other. Also, Jason Whitlock is upset that Ryan Clark can't stand his boy Marcellus Wiley because Ryan Clark realizes that both Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock are brothers who play up to anti-black audiences, who try to gain the approval of anti-black audiences quite often. And Ryan Clark recognizes that, and he ain't rocking with him due to that fact. You know what I mean? But anyway, Jason Whitlock starts talking about Ryan Clark trying to, paint Lamar as a victim or something. He was like, he argues that Lamar's braids and, his ghetto talking and all of that. First of all, Lamar does not talk ghetto at all. At all. He talks with an accent like he's from Florida 100%, but he's 100% professional even when he's talking. He just doesn't try to hide the fact that his Florida accent. He doesn't try to hide or try to talk like, oh, we're going to try some Grey Poupon and drink some Earl Grey tea. And he doesn't do all of that. He don't do all that. And so, but he still talks professional even with his Florida accent. But anyway, he was like, basically Lamar's, the way his ghetto talking and his braids and, the way he presents himself. He says, Ryan says it works against him, but I think it works in his favor. It does the opposite. It actually makes him more of a favorite in the black community over a Jalen Hurts, right? And he starts to talk about how Lamar Jackson is more beloved by black folks. He's more beloved in the black community more than Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts is a Huxtable. He's presenting himself as a Huxtable. He's polished. And he's really, really polished and pristine versus Lamar Jackson, who wears the grills and has the braids, etc. Let me just say this, right? I got a lot to say about this topic. One, I do believe that black folks really like the fact that Lamar Jackson does not code switch. I spoke about how I love the fact that he's unapologetically black. He doesn't get into interviews and starts talking in a way that a black man that grew up around other black people in Florida wouldn't talk. He doesn't get in interviews and starts talking at gosh, oh gee willikers, gee whiz, oh my God. Gonna drink some Earl Grey tea and try some Grey Poupon and escargot. He doesn't do all of that, right? I really like the fact that he's himself, but he's professional at the same time, right? He doesn't try to be someone he's not, but he's still the consummate professional. He's the absolute professional, right? But I want to remind Jason Whitlock that you can be unapologetically black and be polished at the same time. We see Denzel Washington pull this off all the time. We see Morris Chestnut pull it off all the time. Denzel Washington is an outstanding, brilliant professional. But when he starts talking to other black folks and like Jamie Foxx and all of that, you see he's an unapologetically black man. He starts talking about, I'm from around the way. I'm leaving here with something. I'm from Mount Vernon. Hey, you see it even though he's professional. Morris Chestnut the same way. So Jalen Hurts, while he is polished, he is also unapologetically black. So people love Jalen Hurts the same. Like they love Jalen Hurts a ton. The reason why he feel like, oh, people love Lamar Jackson more, they're rooting for Lamar Jackson more, is because Lamar is the more electrifying player. It is what it is. He's the more dynamic player. We've seen Lamar do a lot with less at times. Now this year he had King Henry with him, you know what I mean? But we've seen him pull off incredible feats with a team, an offense that was just not loaded. And he is the straw that stirs the drink without question, and he displays his dominance on the field while not having a whole bunch of Pro Bowlers riddled all through his offense. Now, Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, he has Saquon Barkley running back there with him. Like Saquon is like, he got Saquon with him, AJ Brown, you know what I mean? Like he has dynamic offenses. Devontae Smith, he got and he has, I'm stuttering. He has an outstanding offense with him. And a lot of times people look at it like, yeah, they're winning these games, but how much of it is because of Jalen Hurts at times versus, with Lamar especially before this year. A lot of the time, and he had incredible stats. He had better stats this year than he had in former MVP seasons, right? But a lot of times we saw Lamar winning games, Baltimore Ravens winning games due to Lamar Jackson, due to Lamar Jackson's brilliance and just the fact that he was just so electrifying. So I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts isn't a good. He's a very good quarterback, and he a lot of times, especially throughout the end of the season, played very strong. Wasn't turning the ball over, all of that, but Lamar's a more electrifying player. It's not due to the fact that one is more polished and one is more geared towards Black America with the way he talks and all that type of stuff, right? But let me get to the fact of what Jason Whitlock is trying to do. Jason Whitlock is trying to paint it as if Black people celebrate, we are more attracted to degeneracy. We're more attracted to people, because he said the ghetto talking, and Lamar don't talk ghetto at all. I know what Whitlock is trying to do. That butter biscuit, boot licking Sambo, I know what he's trying to pull. But I'm going to have nuanced conversations around certain things that he said. Because so saying Jalen Hurts is more looked at as a Huxtable, so he's not as celebrated. No, Black folks love Jalen Hurts. I can argue that a lot of Black folks would rather see the Philadelphia Eagles win with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback than Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Why is that? It's obvious that Patrick Mahomes was really not raised in Black culture. It's obvious, right? A lot of times, and I'm not saying he's not a Black man, but you can tell he was more raised in a white culture. How the energy for Black, when you see a person raised in Blackness, even when they're biracial, it's a certain energy they give off. You can tell. And sometimes a person cannot be raised in Blackness, but when they get to certain environments and they be around Blackness enough, they start to experience a shift. They started to, what's the word I'm looking for? They start to submerge themselves into Blackness when they get into certain areas and certain stuff like that, right? Case in point, Barack Obama. Barack Obama was raised by a white woman, but Barack Obama's whole aura, it gives off a Black man that was raised around Black folks, that was around Black folks quite often. And I think him being in Chicago, that definitely helped with that. Being on the south side of Chicago specifically, it helped with that a ton. Now, Patrick Mahomes, and I always say this, mothers do the rearing a lot of times. So the mothers pass down culture more than fathers do. So Pat, again, he has a white mother, raised around white folks in white environments. Pat Sr. was a football player, so they had some money, so he wasn't raised around Black folks for real. Like, he wasn't. And you can tell in his aura and the way he presents. I'm not saying that Black folks can't talk proper and can't be polished, but Black people know what I'm talking about. You can be proper and talk and be polished. You can still see that Black folks. You can still tell when a Black person grew up around other Black folks and grew up in the Black community for real. Jalen Hurts. What's the word I'm looking for, man? The Black aura it spills off of Jalen Hurts, even though he's polished and he speaks well and all of that type of stuff. You can tell the brother was submerged in Black culture. Look at the running joke now is the brother dressed like he was on Living Single. People say he dressed like somebody that Khadijah James was dating on Living Single. Seriously. Well, he dressed like Nino Brown was in New Jack City, right? I'm seeing him with DJ Jazzy Jeff. They doing him and Will Smith handshake at the game, man, in the NFC Championship game. That you could tell he grew up watching nothing but Black TV. The hoop earring, wearing the Kangos. That's older Black man stuff, man. That's older black man aura. Older Black man energy. You feel me? So yeah, him talking about, Jalen isn't beloved because he don't come off with he's trying to insinuate that Jalen doesn't have a ghetto bravado or a hood bravado, so he's not beloved. BS. Black women love Jalen Hurts to the depths of their soul. And Black folks in general love Jalen Hurts because although Jalen is polished, we can tell he grew up in Black culture. We can tell he was raised to be a Black man. You know what I'm saying? And Jalen got a black fiance, all of that. Black folks love and adore that man. Only reason you might see the difference in the way people were rooting for Lamar is because Lamar is the more electric player for sure, and we know that there are certain people who do not like the fact that Lamar wear the grills in his mouth and the braids and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And we were rooting for him, you know, because it's a lot of people that we've seen Lamar be electric a lot of times, and people start talking down about how he can't do this and he can't do that, and how Lamar was really told he couldn't be a quarterback in the NFL and he should be a receiver and all of that. We knew the negative stereotypes that was placed around him due to his athleticism and all of that, you know, and we wanted Lamar to excel because of that, to prove the naysayers wrong. You know what I mean? But it ain't like black people don't gravitate to Jalen Hurts too. We do. Like I said, Lamar just was the more electric player, and we've seen Lamar do more with less. You know, but Jalen, again, is an upstanding black man, outstanding brother, presents himself as such. You can tell the brother was raised right and all of that. But it's not rooted in, oh, Lamar represents degeneracy and Jalen Hurts doesn't. That's BS. That's BS, that anti-black conservative babble that Jason Whitlock likes to spew on his show. Now, in this conversation that Jason Whitlock was having, what is the Asian brother's name? And I forgot the guy on his show's name that he talks to. Godly. What is his name, man? Oh my God, I gotta figure out the guy's name. I'll put it on the screen or something. But anyway, Jason Whitlock was talking with him, and he was the Asian guy. He spoke about Grant Hill, how Grant Hill was looked at versus how Allen Iverson was looked at. And I think Whitlock brought this up too. And he was like, look how Allen Iverson was loved, you know, because he drank, he gambled. He was like the Tupac of the NBA versus how Grant Hill was loved. Now, again, y'all, I was born in 93. What's my man's name? Grant Hill left Duke in 94 when I was 1. I was a year old at the time. But from my recollection of how people talked about Grant, people looked at Grant Hill as the second coming of Michael Jordan. And while he went to Duke University, at the time looked at as the white boy school, at the time looked at as the blue-collar upstanding program. And although Grant Hill's mother was Hillary Clinton's roommate in college, although Grant's father was a professional athlete and all of that, Grant still was beloved by black folks, because Grant was still a black man, even though he was super polished and Huxtable. Like, he was still a black man, and people still loved Grant Hill a lot. The only reason I think Allen Iverson's popularity overtook his, I do believe, though, black folks do like seeing a person who represents the common black man where they come from. Allen Iverson looked like black folks that lived in certain black communities. He had the do-rags on, the braids. He wore jewelry. He wore the clothing that a lot of people wore in the neighborhoods that we came from. So there was a gravitational pull towards Allen Iverson because of that. But I don't think, the only reason Grant was more popular than Grant, the reason why was because Grant was polished. No, Grant got hurt and he battled injuries. And so when people saw Grant was a player who was going to be injury prone, it was like, dang, we want to root for him, but it's hard to really stay and rock with him because he's injured more than he's on the court. He's on the bench more than he's on the court. Had Grant Hill not got injured like he did, I think his popularity maybe could have rivaled Allen Iverson, or could have been close to it. Might be a tick under, but Grant was extremely popular. People loved Grant Hill. Like, Grant went on to marry Tamia, a black woman, went on to marry her, all of that. Grant seemed like just a real upstanding dude. He looked like a Boris Kojo type of brother, and you know how women love Boris Kojo, man. You feel me? Him and Nicole Ari Parker. Grant Hill and Tamia like Nicole Ari Parker and Boris Kojo type people. You feel me? So, yeah, man. Grant wasn't more beloved. Allen Iverson wasn't more beloved than Grant because Grant wasn't ghetto. I think it was just the fact that Grant. I think it was just my son come run up in here. I think it was just the fact that Grant got hurt and he wasn't available for people to really see and gravitate to leading into the early 2000s and stuff, because Grant was hurt for a majority of his youth, you know. So yeah, Jason Whitlock trying to play them little games, but no, man, people love Jalen Hurts just like they love Jalen Hurts and they love Lamar Jackson. Lamar is only, people were rooting for Lamar more because we knew that had he not won, what was going to be at stake for Lamar, how Lamar was going to be ridiculed, how he's been ridiculed before he got into the league, how he was ridiculed by people telling him he needed to play another position, and people saying he's not good enough to get there and all of that. And we've seen Lamar be so electric and do more with less. So people were rooting for Lamar more because they wanted him to succeed, and because they knew how he was going to get slaughtered in the media had he not won, or had he not got to the Super Bowl at least. Jalen Hurts not going to be faced with that same criticism, the exact same criticism. You know what I mean? But people still love Jalen Hurts. Black folks love Jalen Hurts to the core. You know, so Jason Whitlock needs to go on with that BS, man. But I'm out, y'all. Machiavelli Mills TV. And furthermore, too, he's saying Allen Iverson was loved because he drank and gambled and like it represented degeneracy and all of that. And, you know, he started talking about Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan drank and gambled like a MF. He drinks so much his eyes yellow. Look like he about to turn into a target, like he about to turn into a dragon or something. Seriously. So all of that, we know he gambled a lot. That's the rumor why he was out of the league for 2 years, due to him hitting them dice, shaking them, and baking them, man. But Machiavelli Mills TV, y'all, I'm out. Peace.